You know that box in your kitchen? Yeah, that one. We use it for leftovers, for popcorn, for that late-night mug cake. But what if I told you that simple, unassuming box is one of the most misunderstood and honestly, one of the most powerful scientific instruments you own? Let's get into it.
So I'm going to start with a question that might sound a little crazy. What if this box doesn't actually heat your food? I mean, at all. What if its real job is something completely different?
And here's the big reveal, the core idea. The microwave creates this incredible loop, kind of like an Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail. It doesn't pump heat into your food. Nope, it zaps your food with energy and makes the food heat itself. Your dinner becomes its own heating element, actively cooking from within.
To really get how this works, we have to shrink way, way down. I'm talking molecular level. We've got to go inside the food and watch what's really going on, this incredible, chaotic dance of molecules.
Okay, so the main event has a fancy name, dielectric heating. It sounds complex, but trust me, the idea is simple. The microwave creates an energy field that basically tells certain molecules, especially water, to start spinning. And not just spinning, but spinning like crazy. All that frantic movement creates a ton of friction, and that friction, well, that's what we feel as heat.
So, let's break down this little molecular dance. Step 1. The field turns on. All the little water molecules snap to attention and align with it. But then, and get this, that field flips directions. How often? Oh, just about 2.45 billion times per second. The water molecules desperately try to keep up, flipping back and forth, back and forth. All that molecular chaos generates intense friction. That friction is the heat.
But, water isn't the only one at this party. If you've got salt in your food, a whole different thing happens called ionic conduction. Instead of dancing in place, the dissolved salt ions get dragged back and forth like they're in a demolition derby, crashing into everything around them. This heats up the surface of your food incredibly fast. So think of it this way. Water is doing a frantic dance all through your food, while salt is starting a mosh pit right on the surface. And once you understand those two heating methods, everything else starts to click into place. Every single ingredient in your food can pretty much be broken down into one of 4 key players, and each one has a totally different role in this whole drama.
So, you've got your 4 players. Water is the engine. It does most of the heavy lifting, but it has a speed limit, its boiling point of 100 Celsius. Salt is the shield. It heats the surface so violently that it can actually block the microwaves from getting any deeper. Then you've got fat and sugar. They're the thermal batteries, heating up slower but storing way more energy and reaching insane temperatures. And finally, there's air. Air is the insulator. It's totally transparent to the waves, which, as you'll see, is super important for things like foams and cakes.
Right. So now that you know the players on the field, all those weird things your microwave does, the rubbery bread, the soggy pizza crusts, they stop being mysteries. They become predictable and even controllable. Let's start with the biggest myth of them all. We've all heard it. We've all probably said it at some point. Oh yeah, microwaves. They cook from the inside out.
Well, the reality is a little different. Those waves only really penetrate about an inch, maybe an inch and a half into your food. They superheat that outer layer, and then the heat slowly travels to the center the old-fashioned way, just through conduction. So for a big chunk of lasagna, it's actually cooking from the outside in, just like a regular oven.
Okay, here's one we've all suffered through. You want to warm up a nice piece of bread for just a few seconds, you pop it in the microwave, and it comes out, well, tough and chewy as a piece of rubber. What is going on there? The science behind this is pretty wild. The heating is so fast, so intense, that it causes what food scientists call a violent gelatinization. The gluten network in the bread basically panics. It tightens up like a squeezed sponge, forcing all the water out and leaving behind that tough, horrible texture. It's just too much, too fast.
And what about browning? That beautiful, delicious crust you get on a steak or a loaf of bread? That's the Maillard reaction, and it needs temperatures way above 140 degrees Celsius to get going. But remember our engine, water? It caps out at its boiling point of 100 degrees, so you never get hot enough for browning. You just get pale, steamed food.
But you can hack the system. You ever see those gray patches in microwave popcorn bags? Those are called susceptors. They're thin metal films that get scorching hot, way past 100 degrees. You can also use oil, which gets much hotter than water to fry things. Or a little chemistry trick. Add a tiny bit of baking soda, it changes the food's pH, and actually encourages browning to happen at lower temperatures.
So when you start to understand all these principles, you stop just being someone who reheats leftovers. You become what our source material calls a systemic chef. You become someone who can actually use the machine's weird quirks to create some truly incredible results. Check this out. This is an amazing example from the legendary restaurant El Bulli. They took the microwave's biggest perceived weakness, that violent, super fast heating, and they turned it into a unique strength. They used it to create a sponge cake that is impossibly light.
Here's how they pulled it off. First, they put a special batter into a whipped cream siphon to make it incredibly light and foamy. Then, they blasted it in the microwave for just 40 seconds. The energy hits so fast that the cake's structure cooks and sets solid before those thousands of tiny air bubbles have a chance to collapse. The result is this amazing, airy, coral-like texture you can't get any other way.
Now look at this. This is just wild. If you want to make a really flavorful herb-infused oil, the traditional way can take weeks. With a microwave, you can get a result that's arguably even better in about 2 minutes.
Here's why. The microwaves go straight for the water inside the plant cells. They cause that water to instantly flash into steam, which makes the cell walls literally explode. And when they burst, they release all their flavorful compounds right into the surrounding oil. It's like setting off millions of microscopic flavor bombs.
Okay, one last practical trick for you. Stale bread. It's not actually dry, you know. What's happened is that its starch molecules have crystallized. A quick 20-second zap in the microwave is just enough energy to melt those crystals, releasing the trapped water and making the bread soft and wonderful again. But here's the catch. As it cools, it's going to recrystallize even harder than before. So this is a temporary fix. You have to eat it immediately.
And all of this brings us to a really powerful idea. The microwave, that magnetron inside it, it isn't just a blunt instrument for reheating things. In the right hands, it's a precision scalpel, a tool for manipulating the fundamental physics and chemistry of your food.
So the next time you look at that humble box on your counter, don't just see a machine for leftovers. See it for what it is, a cosmic arena, a little laboratory for playing with the states of matter. The only question left is, what are you going to create in yours?